Hello, welcome back to What the Movie. I'm your host, Abel. And on the couch next to me, we have Imani, Evan, and Thomas. So today we're going to be talking about Over the Top, but before we get to that, since there wasn't really a big movie that came out this weekend in theaters, I thought we would just go over what movies we've all seen recently. So let's start with Yuki Mani. Have you seen anything recently?
Yeah, I've mostly been watching TV recently. I've been trying to watch more TV recently. I've been trying to keep up on, or get caught up on Succession and Barry since those are ending right now. But other than that, last week, not like last week, but the week before we shot last week's episode, I watched Hard Boiled and Heat, like in the same day. And those are two movies about cops and robbers, kind of ambiguous, shooting each other. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's me.
What about you, Evan?
I did see one, not big movie because it ain't making no money, but Renfield. I saw Renfield.
Oh, yeah.
It's with Nicolas Cage, Dracula, Nicholas Holt, and Awkwafina.
The Nicholases.
Yes, the two Nicholases, and
The other two.
Awkwafina. And then surprisingly, Ben Schwartz is in it. I didn't know he was in it. But dude, that movie is probably one of the funniest movies of the year. I think that Chris McKay, who's the director of the Lego Batman movie, he did this, and he did the Tomorrow War back in the pandemic. But I thought it was a very fun movie. It clearly knew what it was. It was Nicolas Cage is everything you want him to be as Dracula, which is like, he's like a pimp Dracula, which is hilarious. Nicholas Holt, he shows so much range in his entire career. I mean, that dude played the most like sniveling person in the menu, and now he's like a very rootable hero in this movie. And I sometimes forget that dude is Beast from X-Men. So that's great. Awkwafina, I'm usually on and off about her, but I think like she was very funny. She made the audience laugh the most out of everybody. The action was like the biggest surprising moment of the whole movie for me because it was so gory. Like clearly it had some inspiration from like John Wick or Mortal Kombat. So like overall, that was like a really like fun movie that I'm glad we got one of those in once a year. So that was cool. Yeah.
Have you seen anything recently, Thomas?
Well, I watched, this isn't a very new movie. It's kind of new, it came out this year, but I watched Knock at the Cabin this weekend, and that was the most movie of all time.
It was one of the movies.
It was one of the movies that came out this year.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because there's like M. Night Shyamalan has a famously confusing filmography in that like he'll have like incredible movies like The Sixth Sense or The Village
Unbreakable.
I personally haven't seen Unbreakable,
Really
but
good.
I've heard it's really, really good.
Personally, my favorite out of his. But
And then he'll also turn around and do stuff like After Earth.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that. I talked about that a lot after I saw 65. Sorry to interrupt.
The Last Airbender.
Yes.
The Happening.
And what was the other one?
Yeah, dude, I love The Happening. What? No.
Yeah, but and then this was weird because like this one just kind of fell kind of in the middle of the road for me. Like there's some very confusing parts of it. The best part was by far the acting, like by a country mile. Like everyone in that movie does a great job, including the child acting, which was pretty good. But Dave Bautista, who most people know as like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, or more recently as Duke in Glass Onion.
I know him as Dave Bautista, the WWE wrestler.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'll have you know. I'll have you know.
Yeah.
But he's demonstrated like ever since like Blade Runner 2 came out. Blade Runner 2049 came out like 5 or 6 years ago
I
now.
have no idea.
What's
2017.
that?
It was 6 years.
Um,
It was 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
2017.
But he's great in that. He's great in Dune. He's great, and like he's the standout performance in this. There's a lot of like weird connotations with this movie because it is about a gay couple, but it's also about like the Christian apocalypse.
Yeah.
And how like a gay family has to sacrifice one of their members to prevent that apocalypse, and it's not really questioned, I guess. Like it's questioned in the sense of like the people being like, I don't want to, obviously don't want to kill my family member, but it's not really questioned of like, what's the implications here that like that come with pairing like this very religious and historically homophobic idea being predicated on the sacrifice of gay people. And
Sorry, I would say one thing. M. Night Shyamalan, as confusing as his filmography is, he is probably the best director when it comes to child actors.
This movie is well directed.
Yeah, it is a very well directed. He specifically wanted to look like a 90s film because he had specific lenses and specific pacings, things that, I don't know, like even the title sequence is very old school.
It's like a 60s movie kind of.
Yeah, it is very much like that. Does every 90s and 60s movie perfect? No, probably the reason why this movie is a little bit rocky in today's time. But yeah, I agree with you that movie had cool filmmaking stuff, but there's stuff that they just put in there and never explain.
implications.
And it's different.
Being broad, it's just
it's based off a book too. And from after I watched the movie, I went and I found a YouTube video that was comparing the book and the movie. And the book has a very, very different ending to the movie, which I guess M. Night is kind of famous for at this point, changing the endings of books he's adapting into movies. He did that with Old. And,
yes, I did like that one actually.
But he. From what I understand, from what I could see of the book's ending, it seemed a lot more in line with the themes that the author was going for. And so when they changed that for the movie, it kind of muddles the message quite a bit and muddles stuff.
And muddles the whole script actually.
Yeah.
Abel, Abel, you saw Air, and I definitely want to hear your opinions about it because we talked about it, I think, a while back, and you had some details. So, what did you think about that movie?
I liked it a lot. I don't think it's because Ben Affleck directed it, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I've seen Argo, and I don't think I've seen anything else he directed, but
The Town is great.
Yeah. Oh, I saw The Town. Yeah, The Town's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I've seen either of his directed.
Don't watch Live by Night.
Argo's pretty good. It won Best Picture somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that good.
It was intense. I liked it.
I think that this one, Air, it was definitely we're gonna make a good movie, but we're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because Ben Affleck's playing the CEO of Nike, and he's just very eccentric and always running around and stuff.
With the Tyler Perry wig on, with the tracksuits and everything.
With his goofy ass sunglasses.
Yes, exactly.
It looked like it really was Ben Affleck getting all of his friends together and being what if we made a silly biopic kind of?
I think something that I really thought was funny was that Jason Bateman can't seem to get out of playing Marty Bird after playing him on Ozark because he's always walking around with his head down, and he's always okay, yeah, I got that.
I think that's just what Jason, I think this is what he plays, because Arrested Development, this is what he did in Arrested Development.
Hancock, the gift. That's he's just Sonny, what are you doing? Hey, buddy, I don't understand why you're doing this, but that's not what we're doing here. He always does those intonations with his voice. But yeah, Jason Bateman is prime Jason Bateman in this movie, and I loved it.
He's really talented, but I wish that he would I feel he doesn't have a lot of range.
Okay, here's one movie I'll recommend you. The Gift. It's with him and Joel Edgerton and Rebecca Hall. He is amazing in that, and his character is really interesting in that. But everything else,
a while ago, I don't remember it.
Okay, well, I guess
God, there was a giant jump scare in that movie that
Yep.
I still remember to this day.
It's from Blumhouse, so it's the first time he's ever been in something scary-ish. But okay, yeah.
That I guess that's all I have to say about Air. I really liked how they handled Michael Jordan because it's about Michael Jordan, but they don't. He says a couple lines and you never see his face.
I was gonna say somebody said that I read somebody described it as he's depicted as Jesus and Ben-Hur.
I haven't seen Ben-Hur, but
I've seen it.
It sounds a little accurate.
Yeah, because you only just see the back of him and then you'd be like, this is supposed to be Bull's colors. And it's okay. No, seriously, that's what he says in the movie. He's just this deep voice. This is supposed to be Bull colors, holding the shoe. I was like, that doesn't exactly sound like him. All right. But
I guess.
What's up?
I did also want to add one thing because I didn't see Air, but I did want to. This is definitely not a recent movie as well. I haven't been watching a lot of recent movies, I guess.
Okay.
Hard-boiled and heat, man.
I went to the showing of Arrival this
From Dennis.
yeah, from Dennis Dennis Villeneuve. Yeah, as opposed to Denis.
Yeah.
But it was a really fun experience.
Was that your
because-
first time watching it?
Yeah, it was my first time. It was my
Oh!
first time ever seeing it, and I think it's one of my favorite movies now.
Yeah,
Which,
Yes, dude. Okay.
like,
go ahead. Go off.
it's kind of hard to articulate because I have always been a huge sci-fi nerd since like. I know that's not exactly like a uncommon thing,
Yeah.
but like for me, like science fiction has always been something that I have just been obsessed with for forever, especially like time travel and like first contact stories, you know? Like I love like a good Star Trek or Star Wars, which is technically science fantasy.
It is.
But
Space opera.
but like I love the idea of seeing like modern day like interacting with the first time for something, and I think this is like the perfect alien first contact story.
Yeah.
Like the God. and like I won't say what like the twist is. There's kind of a twist.
This movie came out a long time ago.
A jump.
It's
But like I
8
just
years
don't.
ago.
If someone hasn't seen it, I still want to preserve it for them.
That is true.
Go
A twist that's Shyamalanian, you could say.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
You just saw a Shyamalan movie.
I know.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Good twist.
But it's a really great twist, and
Yeah.
it just completely it does this
Sorry, go
it does something like that like a perfect plot twist should do, is that it completely recontextualizes the entire movie and everything that's been happening in the movie in like a perfect way.
Yeah.
And I will say it even though it's a great movie, I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. On Letterboxd,
Yes.
yeah, because that's of course we have Letterboxd accounts.
Why not?
I will say that Jeremy Renner was very forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? I didn't give it a 5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. I was like, I don't even remember if Forrest Whitaker was in that movie. But Amy Adams shouldn't have gotten
But
nominated for that.
Amy Adams should have gotten nominated.
For her whole
and-
career, too. She
Yeah,
won one yet?
like
She should get nominated for anything.
She's in a lot of thankless
And
roles.
I
She's
was-
in a lot of thankless roles.
American Hustle.
like
yeah.
she's like, and also she's got such range as well because she's fantastic in Enchanted, which before this
That's what-
movie,
yes!
before this movie, that was my favorite performance of her. But
Still
she's my favorite in this one now. But they're such completely different roles, and she plays them so well. Anyway, I'll wrap it up. I will say I haven't seen Moonlight, so it probably like I've heard fantastic things about it.
wasn't him, was it? Why are you
But
bringing
that
up
won Best Picture of the year.
Oh, that
Arrival,
year,
that
okay.
Arrival. So that's why I'm bringing it up because like
I liked.
so it's but you
I
know
did
it would've-
probably like Moonlight more now that I think about it, but still, it was Arrival was very good.
Arrival at the very least Arrival is like huge competition. Anyway, yeah.
All right,
Now
that's
Evans.
we gotta talk about
I
the.
would recommend watching the CJ the X video on YouTube about
Yes!
Arrival.
Yes,
It's
CJ the X.
fantastic. But we got to talk about
just watch
our
CGX in
movie
general. They're
for
great.
this week is Over the Top, directed by someone.
A guy.
I thought it was Sylvester Stallone.
No, he wrote it though.
He made a
wrote
Chuck
it.
Norris movie.
Which
co-wrote
you
it.
can, yeah, you can. I
Let's
feel
just
like you
say
can
it's
kind of tell that. I actually have kind of a weird amount to say about this movie. But
Yes.
Well, why don't you start us off?
Go ahead, man.
this was a bad movie. I'm gonna say that it was a bad movie. I'm not gonna like. It was very. I think it started out actually relatively pretty strong, and I think around halfway through it kind of fell off for me. And maybe this is just my attention span. It could be, but I think at the beginning when it's kind of this real steel, like we're establishing bum dad like reconnecting with his child because of an estranged dying mom. Not estranged mom, but estranged bum dad. Reconnecting with his kid. You get it.
Bum Stallone.
Yeah, and I honestly really liked the dynamic between the kid and Stallone in the first half of the movie. I liked it when the kid was just being like a weird little fascist freak. Like he could like talk
Dude,
about like
oh my
his
God.
genetics and shit, trying to figure out the calibers, like trying to measure his skull size, being like, well, like the kid killed it. He honestly, I'm surprised he wasn't a more prolific child actor. I thought he was he was really good at being like serious and like proper in like a way that I feel like most children like can't even like pretend to be. Yeah, no, and I don't know. I think when it got to the point of like, we're doing like the arm wrestling tournament, I thought there was some funny bits in there. Like I liked like the cutaway interviews, and I liked the part where the guy swallows his cigar. I don't know.
And the gas can. That's my favorite one.
Like that guy, like
Clearly
they made that
apple juice.
actor put that cigar in his mouth for like a minute. Like I don't even know what they did about that.
They like breathes
There was
like
also
smoke
just
like a dragon.
There was
Yes.
also just like a weird amount of like cool practical stuff, like the part where Sylvester Stallone like drives the
truck
through
through the gate.
And also another thing another way you can tell that this movie was written by Sylvester Stallone. One, there's a bunch of like butt rock in it. Like there's a bunch of like a bunch of like 80s montage music.
It was
that's like,
so
"Ah!"
80s.
And like
Man. Stranger Things wishes it was this 80s.
Yeah.
and I guess you could say that the 80s amount of 80s in this movie was a bit over the top.
Oh my gosh, yes.
yeah, it was a lot of 80s stuff.
Kind
But
of interesting that like we're comparing it to Stranger Things, which is like this kind of romanticized,
Yeah. But
it ain't
nostalgic
doing that
version.
one.
But this is
of
actually from the 80s.
Yeah, I'm like, it
Yeah.
romanticizes its own era.
Well,
Yeah.
because Stranger Things, it's more about the aesthetic rather than like the actual like filmmaking, like kind of style
They put film
of
grain in
80s
it and
film.
that's
Yeah.
let's
Like,
go.
I just would love to see a version of Stranger Things where they have to use the soundtrack from this movie.
It's just like the running up that hill scene, but instead with like the song from this movie. It was just like
3 times in the show. One thing I will say about this movie is, yes, the genetics part made me laugh so much because Stallone was tired of it. He pulled over, was like, okay, so since you want, you big now, how about you
he
drive
has
this
this
truck
like
right now?
this
and
like
do it
12-year-old like drive this tractor.
It's just like, dude, come on. But I think this movie is fine. It is not the best movie of all time, but why should it? It's about arm wrestling and about bum Stallone trying to teach this Mark Zuckerberg-like kid
How to cheat at arm
how to be
wrestling.
normal. And it was just like, it was so nuts. Also, my favorite parts were the interviews because there was one dude who looked super big and was like, rah, rah. And then when he was in the interview, he's like, guys, I just really want to win.
it's a lot more about technique
Yeah,
than people really give it credit for.
I try to think about the analytics and just
Yeah.
cuts back to him. He's just rah, rah. I'm like, oh, snaps.
It was the same guy who was swallowing his cigar, I think.
Yes, it was the same dude.
I think they were different guys.
They all had the same afro.
They had a lot of.
Yeah.
They had different. They had the same beard, but I think the guy that swallowed the cigar was wearing a camo
Yeah,
thing,
exactly.
and the other guy was wearing a different thing.
And
but-
also the big villain of the movie. His interview was the funniest one because he doesn't sound like how he sounds in the movie. Like I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like he sounds more professional, and then when he's in there, he's like, "You're gonna die, man. You're gonna die." And he's all red and, sweaty and stuff.
He bongs him in the head with and gives
Yeah,
Sylvester Stallone a
him
bloody nose.
bloody nose. I mean, the reason why this is so 80s is not even just the music or the production design or everything like that. It's the story itself. I mean, the whole, Dad's never there for me, and then once Dad's there for me, I gotta act like, I know everything. It's like it's this very easy to be rootable kind of thing. You know what I mean? The underdog story. That's always been
Real
Stallone's
Steel.
thing. Real Steel or just Rocky just in general, that's just how his career has been. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine. Pacing was trash though. Yeah.
There was. Wait, were you
Go
gonna
ahead,
say?
go ahead.
No, I was literally just gonna say. I think it would have been a lot better if the mom died later in the movie. I think if her dying kicked off the third act and then we went straight into the tournament, that would have been.
That actress
30
got the
minutes
easiest
in.
piece of
Yeah.
it.
No, she dies halfway through, and
Yeah.
the tournament is the last 30 minutes. I think you could have cut a little bit out of the tournament. And added, a little bit more time in between.
It's
her
either
dying.
that or the exact opposite of having her die before the movie starts. Like that too. I think would have.
I don't know. I think
either
the
way
scenes
would have
with-
been better.
I
Either
think
way.
the scenes with her were actually pretty effective, and I think the scenes of her talking to her son on the phone were good, but I don't know. She
I
just
thought it was hilarious when the grandpa sent goons to go literally
kidnapped the
Dude,
kid.
that
Yeah,
is
that was
like
so funny.
felony. That's horrible.
It was
Like,
the
you
80s.
don't have custody,
It was the
dude.
80s. It was.
You don't
He
have-
was an old rich white guy in the
Not gonna
80s.
stop me from getting my son.
Yeah. It's
But also, my thing about it was, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you.
Yeah,
But
no,
I want to
no,
say
I
one
get it.
more thing. So you telling me you found all those letters in that one drawer you never looked in, living in that house for how many years? I was just like, you didn't even need to turn a key in to open that. I was just like, okay, now you're just not a good looker. But go ahead.
But it's so funny because this movie feels like it was like it started out like it feels. So first of all, it feels like it was written in one sitting. But then, as it started out as one movie, and then started turned into another movie as he was writing, or like writing it. Yeah. Obviously, it's probably not what actually happened.
But that's what it feels like.
But that's what it feels like. It feels like it's kind of like ad-libbing itself.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it starts out as like this like small scale story between this bummed and his fascist son, and just reconnecting through the love of his wife and the kid's mother. And
they were like,
and
you know
like,
what? We're gonna make it
then-
about arm wrestling.
it becomes about arm wrestling.
Like, yes.
And it's just like we're gonna have him like I'm gonna teach my son how to use the technique that I do to cheat at arm wrestling and just like arm wrestled like these random kids. Like he was just like it's
Like, by
like
the
this
time
and
you
then
try
he,
that,
and
you're
then he
gonna
got
fail,
like the only thing I could think of is that like the people can see you doing that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh,
the
It's not
second,
illegal. Maybe it's not illegal.
the second you go like this, they're like
They're gonna be like, oh no, he's winning. Like, did you see that?
Ridiculous.
No.
It's just because you can't make a movie out of arm wrestling. It's just to win arm wrestling, you just gotta push harder.
Yeah,
like
that's
unless
why
you
that's the thing that
He
I
did
was
this
always
little
questioning.
Scarlet Witch move with his hand to like go over that.
Like it wasn't like he wasn't like a fighter or anything. Like usually these like again, I keep saying Real Steel, but this is what
He just wanted a truck, man.
No,
He just- he
it's
just wanted-
very
He wanted a son, he
similar.
wanted
It's
that truck.
they are very similar movies, but. Like that movie was about combat sports, and like that kind of makes sense because it's just cinematically more interesting
than
like,
arm wrestling.
than arm
I think
wrestling.
Sylvester
And, like-
Stallone probably
like-
was just like, well, I don't know any movies about arm wrestling.
That's
so
probably true, and
why
I
not?
think that alone makes it unique and funny, like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
worthwhile, like a little bit.
There's like this. You guys were talking about like the cut, like the camera interviews things. My favorite is Sylvester Stallone's interview.
Yes!
because he's just like. I
want
don't
the
know. I want the truck. I'm like a truck. And I don't want the money. I want the truck.
This is, dude, when he flips over the hat, I like was crying laughing when he flipped it. It's like, when I have this, I'm just cool. But then when I turn this over, it's like a switch went on. He's all bug-eyed and stuff. It's like, I feel like I'm just
A different
lethal.
person.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you just flipped your hat over. You were still slow.
Ashton Kutcher.
And then there was.
we're gonna have
Yes.
to call it.
And
there.
wait, one more thing. There's this bit where like halfway through the wrestling match, the wrestling competition, like the grandfather takes Sylvester Stallone up to a hotel room, and then he offers him $500,000 to leave him alone. And he's just like,
I want
"No,
the truck."
I want the truck.
wants the
I want the
truck.
truck."
He wants the
And like
truck.
literally, Sylvester Stallone's character says, "What is your goal here? Because at
Lincoln
this point,
Hawk.
you have custody of the kid. Leave me alone."
Yeah, he's more strong. All right.
It's such a bizarre movie.
We have one more episode to go. We're going to be talking about Mimesis next weekend. It's the second ever full-length Cable 8 film directed by my friend Joseph. I'm super excited to go see that next week.
Starring me.
Yeah, Kimani's going to be in it. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And we
I have a
might be in
minor
it as
role with it, but-
extras.
We have 1 second of screen time. We're gonna be like the
If
Sam Raimi
that.
extras. Yes, exactly.
I think I'm going to be in it. So.
Oh yeah, we'll
You're
all be
one
in
of the
it.
big
At least 25% to 100% of this cast will be in it.
Yeah.
So within that range somewhere.
But we'll also be talking about a movie from the bucket.
Which is?
Let's figure out what it's going to be.
Black Adam.
Mobius.
Yes. What
Wait.
is it?
It's a movie from Carter.
Oh!
It's called B Movie.
Wait, like Jerry Seinfeld?
The B
What
Movie.
other B
movie?
movie
from
is there?
2007.
I just wanted to make 100% sure.
Nice one.
All right, so we're
Nice
going to be
one.
talking about
This nearly 20-year-old movie.
B Movie next week.
Matthew Broderick.
Stay tuned for next week.
According
and
to all known laws of aviation.
No, bro. Okay. End the episode.
keep watching those movies.
I like jazz.
Snowbound Sound.